We're going to take a look at these games right now with Sal Paolantonio, ESPN. Of course, a Sal Pal Friday right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Sal Pal. Ah, boy, the playoffs are here. No Eagles involved in these playoffs, as we know. But we got some juicy matchups, and we get 3 games each day. How are you?
Double, triple header. You can't get any better than that. And, I was given a number the other day that in the state of New Jersey alone, in the months of November and December, in New Jersey alone, over $900 million was bet on professional football.
It has been quite a boom. I can't imagine. But, Sal, that's an interesting point about with the pandemic and the casinos, how at least these casinos have the ability to have people playing on their apps and stuff. I mean, I can't imagine what would be going on without sports betting in this state right now.
Oh, it's a tremendous boom. There's no question about it. I am in the nation's capital for Buccaneers and Washington football team. This is Tom Brady's 42nd postseason game, but his first wild card game on the road.
Wow, how about that? That's a wild card game on the road for Tom Brady. How about that? Let's start with that. You'll be there. Washington, obviously, they've got a team. This is an interesting storyline. You got the young kid, kind of putting some bulletin board material up there. You got the old guard, Brady. We know Washington's got this great defense. They can't move the ball, but if you're Tampa, are you kind of looking at this like, man, we got stuck playing this team, or is this a game that they like?
Well, I know Todd Bowles very well, and he's a defensive coordinator of the Bucs, and I think that he thinks that he can dictate defensively whatever he wants in this game because Alex Smith is immobile and they may have to change quarterbacks to Taylor Heineke. That's why this line has been bet up. It was minus $7.50. Now it's minus $8.50. Washington is one of 2 home dogs. And in this particular matchup, I think points will be difficult to come by. Now, I know the Bucs have scored a lot of points recently. I think it's like 47 and 44 in their last 2 games. They've also scored over 40 a couple of more times. But I remember that Monday night game at MetLife. At night, of course, because it was a Monday night game. And I remember they almost lost to the Giants. And I remember asking Bruce Arians, what was the problem in the first half? And he said, Sal, we just couldn't find our energy. Stands were empty at night. It was kind of a raw night, as I remember, and tomorrow's going to be cold. I think these teams that go on the road in these bowls at night have a hard time. It's like playing in a canyon. They have a hard time, and you and I have discussed this in the past, Mike. It's hard to find energy, and I think it'll be difficult for Brady to really run up the score in this game. I like Washington plus the points.
Yeah, I'm down your way of thinking. I think it's one of those ugly, low-scoring. Washington's defense keeps them around. Brady just kind of makes a play here. Washington just doesn't have enough offense. That's the late game. You can hear it here on 97.3 ESPN. The middle game is a divisional matchup in the West. Rams, Seattle. I mean, both these teams have kind of changed who they were earlier in the year. Seattle was terrible defensively. Now their defense is good. They were great offensively. Now the offense is kind of taking a downward spin. L.A., they've got some COVID issues, an injury with Goff. I mean, this is going to be a really interesting game to try to, figure out with the line in this one.
I like the Seahawks a lot. I really do. It's only 3.5 that they're giving to the Rams in this game. I like them a lot in this game. I don't think the Rams can score. The Rams have held the Seahawks in the 2 matchups this year to 18 points per game. I think a total of 36 points. But the Seahawks did win one of those 2 games, despite the fact in the 2 games Russell Wilson has been sacked by this Rams front 4 a ridiculous 11 times. But I do like the Seahawks because I don't think the Rams will be able to score in this game. So I'm taking the Seahawks and giving 3.5.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of Goff you get in that game. All right, the early game coverage begins at 12:30 on 97.3 ESPN. This one should be interesting. Buffalo, Indianapolis. Indy got good defense. Buffalo not so good. Buffalo can score. Indy struggles on offense. You got 6.5 here. Buffalo's kind of fun. Indy's kind of a grinded out. This is a contrast.
It is. And, this is not an easy game to pick. Everybody seems to think because Buffalo's at home and Josh Allen and that offense has been absolutely on fire. I think Allen will feel a little pressure in this game. I think he'll feel a little pressure not only from the Colts defense, but because there's going to be fans in the stands for the first time, the Bills Mafia, although it's going to be a small group. I think there's going to be a lot of attention paid to Josh Allen. Everybody's talking about him being an MVP. I don't like the Bills in this spot to cover. I think they're giving 6 right now. I don't like them at all to cover in this game. And I think it's going to be a very difficult game for the Bills to close out.
All right, that's your Saturday card. 3 there, Indy, Buffalo, L.A., Seattle, Tampa, Washington. That's where Sal Powell will be covering it for ESPN. He's with us right now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Then you flip over to Sunday. We've got all 3 games. This is a rematch from last year. Now, when you think of Baltimore, Tennessee, Sal, you usually think defense, but Tennessee's defense, not very good. Baltimore's not the same defensive team as they've been. I don't know. You see a lot of points in this game?
I just don't. The only thing is that the Titans have been able to beat the Ravens in the fourth quarter in the last 2 matchups, fourth quarter and overtime. They come up with some last-minute points, and that scares me. If I'm picking the Ravens, which I'm not, I just think that the Ravens have had so much difficulty stopping Derrick Henry. And the way the Titans run the ball is not good for the Ravens. And we have a piece in the matchup show tomorrow morning done by Greg Cosell that is absolutely terrific, in which Greg talks about the fact that the Titans use pretty much the same personnel. A couple of tight ends, may go heavy on the offensive line, put a fullback on the field, just like the Eagles do all the time, Mike.
Who was the last Eagles fullback? There's a question for you.
John Ritchie?
Maybe, I guess. Been a while, put it that way. Kevin Turner.
He comes after
No,
Ritchie?
I think Ritchie's after Turner, but I almost forgot that Ritchie, because it's been so long that they had a fullback.
So that's the way the Titans run the ball. They're old school, and the Ravens defense does not match up. And what you have seen in the last 2 games, last year when the Ravens were 14-2 and blew that game, and Lamar Jackson had to throw the ball 60 times, is that by the fourth quarter, that defense is on the field so much that they just get worn out, and Henry piles it on in the fourth quarter or overtime. And that happened during the regular season this year as well. It was a fourth quarter runaway by Derrick Henry that really sealed the victory for the Titans. So I actually like the Titans to win this game. And I'm not saying, it could be a situation where they don't cover, but I like them to win.
Yeah, it's 3 right now, 54.5. A lot of points on the over-under there.
Wow.
Chicago is a 10-point dog on the road. Now, I can see what happens in this. They're down, and Nagy says, I got to go to Foles. Foles brings them back, wins it, and the Bears win the Super Bowl, right? Isn't that the only way that could happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that happening this time around. I think that Cinderella tale is in the barn, and it's staying in the barn. But, Michael, I could definitely see the Bears covering at the end of this game. And I take the Bears plus the points. 10 points is a lot of points. It's just a lot.
And these 2 teams played earlier, and it was I think it was a 2-point game.
Yeah. So I'm leaning on the over for sure, and I'm taking the points in this game.
By the way, my producer says, I can't believe I didn't know this. The last fullback was Owen Schmidt, a WVU alum just like me. Remember him?
Jesus, I did not.
I don't think he played all that much, but it was 2010.
Wait a minute. Was he actually on the 53-man?
He started 5 games in the 2000.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. There you go.
That's
Owen.
That's a bad job by me. That is a bad job by me.
Well, he touched the ball. He had 3 catches. That was his stat line.
Wait a minute. So he went to your alma mater, and you whiffed on it too?
Totally forgot that he even played for the Eagles. To be honest with you.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna ask for forgiveness if you couldn't remember.
We can't win them all, right? We can't remember everybody.
No, my gosh, but I should have remembered that. Yikes.
All right. Cleveland, Pittsburgh. This one's, you got the COVID stuff. There's no coach. Pittsburgh has been such a wonky team, though. I don't know. By Sunday night at 8 o'clock, this one's going to be really tough to figure out.
Well, it is. But without Kevin Stefanski in the ear of Baker Mayfield, I think that's going to be a problem. I mean, Stefanski, to me, has been the MVP of the team.
Right.
It basically
could be the coach of the year.
Pretty much the same personnel that you had last year. But Stefanski has done, without a doubt. I mean, it's Rivera and Stefanski, 1 and 1A, that have done the best coaching jobs in the NFL. And Stefanski did win Coach of the Year, right?
Did they hand that out yet?
I think, it was on Pro Football Talk.
Yeah.
Mike Florio on PFT has his own awards.
Right,
and
okay.
He awarded Stefanski as the Coach of the Year.
That Mike Florio's another WVU guy.
Yeah, big time.
He he used to do the Sal Pal Friday. We had Florio Friday. But I upgraded. I went to Sal Pal Friday.
Oh, wait till I tell. So, it's crazy because in my house, sometimes I'll grab my wife's laptop, early in the morning at the kitchen table, and she'll be like checking PFT. Is that what you're doing? I'm like, yeah. I gotta make a quick check of PFT.
Us WVU guys, we stick together, except for Owen Schmidt. Apparently, we forget about him.
Well, anyway, I like the Steelers in this game, Mike. I realize 6 is a big number, but I'm going to give 6 and take the Steelers in this game and go under in this game. I think that Steelers defense will be too much for Baker Mayfield without his coach in his ear.
Yeah, that game started out at 3, and it went up to 6 because of all the craziness that's gone on out there. So there you go, Super Wild Card Weekend, Sal Paolantonio. Before we let you roll, I know we don't want to get a lot into the Eagle thing here, but I just want to get your thought on the coordinators being gone. Is there any tea leaves of, hey, you got your way, now I get my way? Is there anything there, or is this just those guys didn't work out, they were on one-year deals, and that's it?
Yeah, I think if you look at who remains, Roseman, Peterson, Press Taylor, they're all represented by the same agent, Bob Lamont. And, there's a lot to that. And I think, although Marty Morningwig was his client, is Lamont's client as well, I think that they are very high on Press Taylor. And
Press Taylor came here with Chip Kelly, correct?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but they are high on Press Taylor. I know that Roseman, Peterson, and Lamont. And Lamont's got a lot of GMs and a lot of head coaches. He's the most powerful agent in the league in terms of GMs and coaches. Highly respected. Really knows what he's doing. And, Taylor, they view Taylor as I haven't heard that he's gotten any interviews at all as a head coaching candidate, and he won't until he gets an opportunity to do what?
Be a coordinator.
Call the plays and be a coordinator, correct. And I would be shocked, beyond shocked, if Press Taylor is not the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles next year. At least in name only, in the way that Eric Bieniemy was and Doug Peterson was in Kansas City, where they learned under Reed for a year, and then they started calling the plays on their own, like Peterson did and Bieniemy did. And I think the Jets should hire Bieniemy. I don't know what they're waiting for. I mean, I don't know what the rules are, Mike, but I have a ton of respect for Eric Bieniemy.
I would imagine this is the year he gets a job, and then, of course, they need a defensive. They need an OC. They need a defensive coordinator. It should be a crazy offseason. Sal Pal will be with us throughout this offseason, getting us ready for the draft. I made a couple phone calls to make that happen.
And, Michael, just think about it. There's a lot of people talking that at that 6th pick, the Eagles will do a lot of homework on quarterbacks.
There you go. There's a little tease of what could be happening this offseason. Sal Pal, tomorrow he's in the nation's capital now, getting you ready for Super Wildcard Weekend right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Sal, we'll see you on the boob tube.
All right, and we'll talk next Friday, Mike.
All right, that's Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash. He, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda Hotline.